When I read 8, I told Ryan, I fundamentally disagree with virtually everything you've decided about my character. I said to Ryan, I'm so surprised how you see Luke. It was as shocking to me to read what Ryan had written as I'm sure it will be for the audience.
They were your kids.
Yeah, well, they are right. You know, I loved them. I created them. I'm very intimately involved in them, and obviously
And you sold them.
I sold them to the white slavers.
These films now are being made by children.
Welcome to the Hero Escape Podcast, your weekly escape from Rian Johnson's directorial vision of the Star Wars franchise. I am one of your 3 co-hosts, Nathaniel Blevins, and I am joined by
David Saxon.
And David Corliss. Welcome, welcome, welcome. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, we were taken to an adventures of Luke Skywalker in a galactic battle against an imperial empire, a tyrannical empire. And now we have seen his last breaths in the movie known as The Last Jedi. We are going to discuss and review. And let me take you back to, I guess I'll begin. Is that all right, guys?
Oh, yes.
I will take you back to our previous episode where I talked about my deep and abiding fanboy love for Luke Skywalker and how much I was excited that they were making some more, to see Skywalker on a screen. We entered that theater. We all went and watched it together. And here I am in that theater, excited. I know I wasn't going to get the Wrecking Ball Luke, our little coined phrase that we're going to see. I knew I was going to see something. Might not be the movie I make, but here I am. I'm going to see Luke Skywalker. And I have to say,
pins and needles.
Totally not happy with how they handled Luke Skywalker. And I want to say, so remember when the thing that I loved Luke and he was a hero unlike any other was because not only was he brave and a great warrior and all that, but he chose the hard right and even the noble right better than any character that I had seen. I mean, remember, Return of the Jedi became a story of him trying to redeem his father when any other storyline would have been time to kill my father, right? After what he did and what he's trying to do, right? But when it came to being a warrior, he was exceptional at that too. And so here's this hero who's taking responsibility for the galaxy and putting it on his shoulders to save the galaxy and somehow save the soul of his father, right? Such a brave and powerful, good person. And because he can't bear to think of his father being bad and doing all these bad things. And so now that same person, however many years in the future, how many decades in the future, he's thoroughly depressed. There was a movie called A New Hope, and that was him. But now he's depressed, right? And because Kylo Ren has turned bad. Okay, so this hero who took the galaxy, weight of the galaxy, and put it on his own shoulders to try to do it, which would have been an awesome burden, he now knows that Kylo Ren has turned bad, destroyed his temple, and ran and loosed himself on the galaxy. Yeah. And he does nothing? He runs away and hides and sulks?
Doesn't chase him down, doesn't try to get him back.
Right, so he knows he's the only one in the universe with any ability to destroy Kylo Ren and Snoke. He knows there's an ominous, oppressive force coming, and he does nothing about it. That is a coward. That is not a man, even. That is a freaking coward. So that is a betrayal of the highest order to someone who I thought was the greatest hero of all time. So, and I shared the story how like Star Wars defined my life or whatever most of my life. And it did. It was so fun and it was all these adventures and these noble heroes. And next to family and, my relationship with God, that's true. I mean, it did all those things. And I've raised my kids. We have a saying in our family that I challenge them to live by. Easy or hard, safe or dangerous, we will choose the right. Okay. And I would hold up these characters. I would hold up Luke. Yeah. Obviously, mostly we have that phrase we're having scripture time or whatever, but talking, about Luke is an example of that and a fun example of that. It's a fantasy example or Captain America, right?
Right.
I can't hold Luke up like that anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's not.
That's an excellent point. I wonder how people would feel if there was some Marvel movie that came out that showed, Captain America has
curmudgeonly old Captain America,
given up on everything. And it just, I don't know. I mean, it even seems like in the Black Panther movie that's coming out just based on the trailer, right? Or rather, Infinity War, that he's back in action as soon as there's something,
Yeah, it is a deviation from the. Yeah, it's like it's not Luke, right? Because in a way, he had that chance in A New Hope, right? Remember, he could have gone back to Tatooine. He had the out there. He said, "This isn't my war. I'm not involved in this. I'm going to go back and
right."
But he chose the hard right. He's like, I'm going to go and do this thing. I'm going to.
Yeah, no one could have made him do it. No one could have expected.
So we know that is the choice that he will make in those situations because he's proven it already.
Right.
So it's an odd choice to have him not
absolutely just wrong, right? And so there was a point where I'm thinking they're going to turn this around. Like he's refusing to help Rey, and there's a point where I felt like forever into the movie, and I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I get it. He's punking Rey like Yoda tricked him to think he was just some weird little lizard guy, and he's really got to find a Jedi Master to test him to see if he's prone to anger and all these things. Right. And I had this hope in the middle of the movie. Oh, he's just going to punk her, and he's going to say, okay, just kidding. I was just going to see how frustrated you got, or if you felt alone, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Rey beats him in a stick fight. And you're like,
yeah.
If there's one thing Luke should be good with is melee combat.
Yeah.
But anyways,
yeah. There is that moment where he agrees to train her, and you start to get your hopes up, and then literally it is a 5-minute, not even a 5-minute training session.
30 seconds, I think.
Where he tells her to, reach out. There's a little bit of slightly off-place humor. I was getting a little bit of Ragnarok flashback.
Yeah.
And then he's right back to, I don't like her. She's dangerous. I don't want to train her. I don't want anything to do with you. So you had that brief glimmer of hope, and then it's gone. It's extinguished again, which seems to be the theme of this movie. We're going to give you a little brief glimmer of hope. We're going to make you think, and then we're going to take it away from you. And then we're going to call ourselves clever.
Yeah. And so it makes, I think they meant for it to be like a funny moment when, they spent the whole movie building up to, when we find Luke. If they find Luke, we're screwed. If we find Luke, we win. 7, right? The whole thing building up is this huge build up.
It could have been called The Search for Luke, because that's basically what it was about, right?
Right. And then here's Rey. They show her giving their lightsaber, and what is Luke? And even in Force Awakens, he's got this forlorn, like serious, grim look. Like, this is a big deal that she showed up in it with this lightsaber, and then grabs it, chucks it over her shoulder. I think they meant for it to be funny, but it was like crickets in the theater when we were watching. Like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, who spends?
And I think one of you guys had said there, it feels like, and it does to me too, it feels like a slap in the face to the people that made the Force Awakens.
Yeah, if you put all that effort into finding Luke and all that stuff, is a slap in the face to the characters, but a slap. If you're like J.J. Abrams or the people who wrote and acted that story, I'm like, you just slapped us all in the face. You said everything you just did in that movie. Bam, gone.
Yeah.
So, and it's just why it's so very unheroic. Luke was, I will say, loved seeing Mark Hamill on camera again. I thought he acted very well. The role that they gave him, I understand now why Mark Hamill said, I fundamentally disagree with all the choices you made with this Luke character. Right? We said that last time, and now I completely get it. I thought maybe he would disagree just because Mark Hamill himself is a bit of a goofy guy, but no, he disagreed for very good reasons. Luke was heroic and full of hope and nobility, and now he had none of that.
Yeah, you can't help but wonder if his account of that interaction between him and Ryan is sort of tamped down in the retelling. It was a little more passionate when he went into his office. Like, What is this? Yeah. I feel like there was a challenge that Rian Johnson was given.
Mm-hmm.
Similar in some ways to what J.J. Abrams was given, but different in the sense that, okay, you have this established character. You need to both make him great. You need to make him what he is, and you need to give him an appropriate send-off. Okay? Mm-hmm. So even if you're given the order of, okay, he's got to die in this movie somehow, you need to give him a send-off that is appropriate. And as much as it might be tempting to say, well, it just, it was so shocking and such a twist that we didn't have that physical powers, that we didn't, see the Luke we were expecting. I think a lot of people receive it as a cop-out. Yeah. Like, it's an easy side door to take to get away from that tall order of you need to deliver on all these points. To just come in and say, well, I'm going to be clever and I'm going to subvert all these points. But all you did was you sidestepped all the things you needed to do. And therefore, you did not make the movie that needed to be made.
Yeah. So,
well, and we talked about this. I feel like that certain things have to happen, I think, for us to love these new characters they're introducing.
Yeah.
So before we go there, though, Dave, tell us how you didn't chime in. How do you think they handled the Luke character? I got to get you, because I know you love him like just as much as I do.
I think it was awful the way they handled them. Like you said, like I started to say, there's. I mean, I love Luke, and I do want to see that Wrecking Ball Luke. But even if I can't see that, I at least need to see the same character that I've seen in the original trilogy. That the guy that is the hope of the galaxy, that guy who
inspired a
even
generation.
up until sort of somewhere in the remaining in the before Force Awakens, who still had that hope, and I'm going to train a new generation of Jedi, and he saw all these good in all these people, and up until till Kylo Ren turns bad, when I guess he decides then that he quits, which I disagree with that.
So we have to all give Dave Saxon mad genius props for your fake trailer idea in our last episode. Wouldn't you be excited to see, right? Luke standing off against a whole army, and all of a sudden he's summoning the Force with the crackling around you. Like, Dave, that was like super brilliant, because then we're in the theater and we're wondering, why didn't they show this in the trailer? This is freaking amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And then you realize he's not actually there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember, I'm sitting there and there he's walking out, right? And I was like, okay, there's not enough First Order troops there for me, enough for me to make this a great battle. But, and you I think Nathaniel kind of nudged me, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to get too excited.
I couldn't help but nudge you.
I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to do it. I didn't think they were going to do it.
It was shot for shot. If anybody is listening and you listened to the previous episode where we did our bold predictions, he says, speaking of Saxon here, he says in detail, like, how there's a whole army there. There's walkers there. He starts listing off the ships, and it was like, this is exactly what you described.
It wasn't necessarily meant to be a bold prediction, but you're like, this would be a good trailer. This is a good storytelling. And then they faked. Like, I've talked to people who come out and they're like, oh, I liked it. Did you? Like, and I'll say, I hate to be negative about anything, right? And when someone likes something, hey. And to all podcasters, Heroescapers listening out there, if you like this movie, I want you to keep liking it. Don't change your opinion because I don't like it. You go right ahead and keep liking it. Yeah. That does not hurt my feelings a lot. You paid money to go watch that movie. You have every right to like it. You like it. I want you to like it if you like it. Keep liking it. But yeah, I could not say, oh yeah, it was all right. I really, like, as I just expressed, didn't like how they handled Luke. And it was like, Dave, you made the brilliant analogy the other day. It's like if your kid was begging for a mountain bike for Christmas, and you didn't get him one, but you wrapped up something in the shape of a mountain bike and let him unwrap it.
And you promised him he was going to love this present so much. Like, you've been wanting something for Christmas. I think you're going to like what you're going to get.
So genius. Yeah. And then he opens it up and like, just kidding. It was all cardboard. Right. So people are telling me, oh, didn't you like, that was so cool. He like force projected across the universe and did all that. And my thought is, yeah, but do you know what else projects images over great distances? Skype. Right? I mean, so
FaceTime Luke.
So Luke FaceTimes or Skypes his way into the battle, but so that would be okay. I guess that's a cool force power that we haven't seen. Probably something Rian Johnson was challenged with. Give us something we haven't seen before. And I'm like, oh, he wasn't actually there. I mean, he didn't actually. So people are like, it was so cool. All those walkers trying to shoot him, and then it didn't even affect him. I'm like, because he wasn't there. He Loki'd it. That's not impressive. I mean, it's impressive to make a projection, but he didn't withstand anything. A hologram will withstand anything because you can't destroy a hologram. It's not actually there, right? And so and then, okay, well, I guess that's like cool. So then where's he actually going to show up? Oh, he's going to die. So Skype should now have, watch out, kids. Skype kills. Right? Force Skyping, force FaceTiming kills. Watch out.
I think it was his hope that that revelation that he's projecting himself by the Force would somehow be more impressive than standing off against those walkers, more impressive than taking them out, more impressive than defeating Kylo, which it was not. It failed.
Was not.
see how- I
How
don't
you
see
gotta
how
be
you think
delusional to think that's somehow.
It hollowed out that whole, all the minutes you saw before that. And honestly, it reminded me of one of the only missteps. Maybe this is controversial, but I think everybody agrees, everybody I've talked to so far, that the Marvel franchise has made in the movies. They've made very few missteps. I think we could all agree. They've been excellent movies. But one that I really did not like was when we saw this amazing Iron Man trailer, which featured the Mandarin, which you may recall. And in the trailer, they made him seem badass. He was amazing, like just ominous and everything. And he had that line, "You'll never see me coming," or something like that. And then you go to the movie and they pull the rug out from under you and you find out he's just this drunk wannabe actor that was faking it the whole time. And it was that same sort of feeling when it's like, oh, Luke was just a hologram the whole time.
And even
but times a million, because everybody knows Luke and what he stands for. Mandarin's somewhat nebulous of a person.
It even made me angry when, after that, you remember they're blasting him with the Walker rifles for like 10 minutes. And he's like, you think you got him? Like that. And and you are like wondering, like, what's happening? I can't even see Luke anymore. And he steps out and kind of just brushes off his shoulder. And everybody in the audience, I think they cheered.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, we're going to see Luke. He's about to flex his muscles.
Yeah.
And then it made it even worse. And I'm sure that Ryan Johnson was patting himself on the back. But I'm like, no, it's not impressive anymore because he's not there.
Yeah.
He was shooting at a shadow, a trick of light. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. You made me feel like I'm a cat who just realized that's a laser pointer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's excellent.
And that really goes to the heart, I think, of the rest of the things that we're going to talk about here, which is this recurring emotion that is given to the audience of, here's this amazing thing. Whoops, we tricked you. Just kidding.
Yeah.
We're
Over
taking
and over
it
again.
away.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happened in the scope of this single movie. Sometimes it happened. It was
The
built up in
franchise
Force
a lot,
Awakens.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that sort of brings us into the next segment as we're looking at it. As you evaluate this film, you sort of have to break it apart because there were so many things wrong. And so if you don't compartmentalize it, it can just sound like you're just sort of rambling. But essentially, you've got your Star Wars element, like the Luke that we talked about, that Star Wars fans went in expecting things. But then there's also just raw storytelling elements that were frustrating in this that really didn't fit. It didn't flow right. You could take the Star Wars franchise off of it, still look at the film as just a generic sci-fi film, as David said to me many times, and it still falls flat. So there are all these build-ups with no payoffs.
Right. I, David Corliss, have been a Star Wars fan my entire life. Here I am sitting in a theater going to see a movie with Luke Skywalker in it. And I was stunned, like in the movie, to realize I was bored and I was lost. Like, what is this about?
Yeah.
How does that happen? In what galaxy far, far away does David Corliss not get excited or be totally enjoying a movie with actually Luke Skywalker in it? I was completely lost. So many plot twists and where there's no payoff. Like, so we find out, they spend all of the time in between the two movies, everybody's, man, who was Rey's parents? Where does the Snoke guy come from? I thought, Luke killed all of the Sith.
Who are the Knights of Ren?
Where are the Knights? All these plot things that they tease forever. And then
what's Rey's? Yeah.
Where's parents? Oh, nobody.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, thanks for letting me spend all those. That seemed like, this person who's a nobody apparently only has zero training and is good enough to go toe to toe with anybody else that's a Jedi. Again, making no sense. And then who's Snoke? Well, I guess that's not important. He's dead.
And that was that whole subversion technique it was used so many times. I have to think it was intentional and that they genuinely anticipated that it would have a positive effect, that people would feel pleasantly surprised. But it had this floor dropping out from under you, gut check, like terrible feeling every time for me. And like you just pointed out, there are certain specific things where they made a hard point of saying, not only are we not giving you an answer in this movie, you are never getting an answer. Rey's parents, they went out of their way to say they were nobodies. Forget about it, basically. There's several points in the movie.
Yeah, we know you fans are
it's
excited
almost
about
more like
this. Forget about it.
You were wrong for caring about this mystery that we set up. That was stupid of you to think, to wonder about Rey's parentage, even though we sort of alluded to this big mystery. Who is who is her parentage.
And you made her more powerful than the descendant of a
you
virgin
thought that was
in the
important?
Force.
That was dumb.
Yeah.
And it's with Snoke is the same thing. You thought all his messed up head and face there's a story behind that.
Story behind those
that we
scars,
would care
right?
to tell you about.
Yeah, never mind.
He's old enough to have been around in the Palpatine Vader era. There's maybe some interesting history there. Who cares? We don't care about that. Neither should you.
Storytelling to me.
It's,
there is such a rich.
It's bad
vein
storytelling
to be
more
there.
than lazy to me. I think.
Yeah, there's got to be payoff. If you build things up, there's got to be a payoff to get us interested. You got to pay off our interest.
There are hours of YouTube videos speculating about those subjects, and for them to.
Yeah. So how do you ignore?
Which
that
means
much?
I was
Flush it down the
completely,
toilet.
heroically, utterly, and epically wrong in my bold prediction that she would be non-traditional Skywalker.
Here's the one thing I will say:
David Corliss is an idiot.
that could be a misdirect, and I hope it is.
It's not.
I don't care if it is because I don't care what happens in the next movie. But
I don't.
Which is a
think-
way to judge the movie. We were so excited after Force Awakens to watch this one for all these reasons. At the end of this movie, what are we looking forward to?
Yeah.
What did that leave you wanting more of?
Yeah. So you got that element, right? Where you've got your lead ups and you're cutting them off. But there are other storytelling breakdowns in here.
Yes.
When you have a plot device or a scene that you so badly want in a movie that you are willing to recrank the entire rest of the movie around it, all of those other scenes you put in build up are going to feel so contrived, so hollow, and they're not going to resonate with the audience.
Where's an example of
And
that? What do you think?
So that entire elongated 12-hour space chase scene was completely contrived so that they could have the events on Snoke's ship, so all the events with Finn and everything like that. They also they needed to have this sort of tension with the First Order showing up, but you've already established that if the First Order shows up and you are running out of fuel or any other scenario, they're going to blow them out of space, right? Mm-hmm. It's game over. Oh, so what can we contrive to make it so that they can't kill them right away? Well, they're just out of range, sir. Doesn't this massive ship go any faster? No, but we can maintain the same speed to stay at the same distance so our blasters will continue to hit them without penetrating the shield.
so then we'd be breaking the galactic speed limit, and we can't do that.
Yeah.
We're both. That's what I was like. Yeah,
You know how fast you were going, son?
exactly.
But this
We don't
was-
want to get in trouble with Galaxy Police.
Well, they said, their ships are smaller and they're faster, so we can't keep up with them. Then why did after they
would have
when
pulled
Finn
away.
and Rose, which apparently is so important that we meet Rose? I don't know why that was so important. They needed a good day and a half, to go almost get a code breaker
Yes.
to almost bring him back. So there's the Rebels, Resistance, and the First Order in a race, and you have a part of your race that's going to go take a timeout and then catch up. The Empire can't catch up. But our plan is
Right.
to run away and catch back up with something we need.
And yeah.
So, what?
That's what I'm saying. When you start with that contrivance and you start to build your story on that, everything else starts to break down. It seems totally implausible that you would leave a high tension scenario like that, no matter how bad you needed a code breaker, go off on a mini vacation for a little while and try to make it back in time. It's just complete insanity, right? You would look on the ship for a solution. You posed, you would.
Here's how I would describe that whole break. I describe
Physically
that
impossible.
whole. I describe that whole dumb casino codebreaker thing as hijinks. And I don't need to see hijinks be a 45-minute sidebar to a Star Wars movie.
Dude.
Up to Rose and Finn's hijinks. Like that.
It was also laced with
Good
heavy-handed
use of the word
propaganda.
hijinks, and it felt like that was, again, bad storytelling.
Yeah. Anti-military, and,
Right.
all that.
If I could summarize basically everything you were just saying, I completely amen, high five everything you said, because it didn't feel like I came out I didn't know what story. I couldn't, days thinking about what was the story.
Right.
And I can't come up with a story that they were trying to tell, but I felt like they had an agenda. And then I don't want to be in a Star Wars movie wondering what the story is and then start suspecting like politic type agenda
Right.
stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but the agenda, they obviously wanted to do two definite things. They wanted to move on past original trilogy characters. That was an agenda item of the story. And they wanted to introduce new characters. Because all these sidebar plot stuff, they introduced the Rose character and her sister, and then the Benicio del Toro, the Codebreaker guy, introduced all these characters, made an excuse for Phasma to come back, all of this stuff.
Phasma.
Yeah, right. They wanted to reinforce the new characters and move past the original trilogy. So it's forced. Okay, you accomplished that in your story, but I don't know what story you told.
It's like when Kylo says that line to Rey about, I wish I could quote the line.
Kill the past, let it die.
Kill the past, let it die. It's Disney or the portion of Disney that is in charge of these movies saying that to us. Like, you guys should forget about these characters you've known for 30, 40 years and just like the things we're giving you now.
Yeah, we're telling you to like this. You need to like this Rose character. Remember, they even introduced the actor. Hey, we really want you to meet this new character.
Yes.
Her character was not compelling or even interesting, and then that whole story to Vegas capitalism starts to feel like preachy and weird and completely unnecessary, and again, logically doesn't make sense. You don't leave a race and then catch up to the head of the race.
Yeah, they're establishing this pattern between Force Awakens and this one, actually, where their intention that they publicly state on a stage at like one of their events, like D23 or something like that, and then the results that you see on screen do not line up. Phasma, as you brought up, is a great example of that, where there were numerous interviews leading up to TFA talking about how it was so wonderful to have a strong female character and the villain side, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then obviously she was egregiously mishandled and thrown down a garbage chute. And then maybe after that, they thought, well, maybe we didn't handle that. But instead of gaining everything you can from the hindsight, they do it again in this movie. Phasma is pretty quickly eliminated, has very little screen time. There is a good fight scene there, but it's not... There's so much more. She could have been the Rogue One Vader of this movie if you did it right. You could have made her terrifying.
Or like a Boba Fett or something cool.
Exactly. I would say she could have been, like a...
Fans want to love her and get into her like Boba Fett, but they... Yeah.
Because when I went to the Star Wars celebration thing, I would see people in the Phasma armor, and I would get it's such a cool look that like Boba Fett sort of had, and I don't know why they...
Yeah.
So... I want to make one more analogy about why I have a problem. So I understand, like, whenever I say, like, man, I just don't like how they're handling the old characters, people's response, and clearly the franchise's response is, well, we really want to introduce new characters. Okay. Right. So I get, in each Star Wars movie, episode 4, 5, and 6, original trilogy, they introduce new characters. Okay. Lando comes into Empire Strikes, forever beloved. All right. Everybody likes Lando Calrissian, right? And Return of the Jedi, we get Boba Fett, or not Boba Fett. We get Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back, but we get Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
Right? In Return of the Jedi. Cool, new characters, and we actually see the Emperor. Right?
Yeah.
Add new characters and make them awesome. Don't just add them because you want to add them. Each of those characters played a critical plot role that moved the important plot along.
That's
okay?
It right
and
there.
Any subplots that developed with those or created fan interest happened naturally, not forced.
Exactly. Right? You never felt like they were crowbarring.
You never felt like we better take Han out of some scenes and put Lando in more because we want people to like Lando more.
So I make the analogy. So, if introducing new characters is so important, fine, introduce new characters, but you got to do it right. It's like you sat down with Michael Jordan after the first 3 championships and you said, you know what, Mike, everybody likes Mike, but we're going to have to let you go. And he was like, why? Well, we really want to introduce new players.
Yeah.
I'm Michael Jordan. Okay. Or Tom Brady. 5. You know what, Tom? We're just going to move on. And then it's like, well, okay, you're right. People like you. You're still going to sell jerseys. We want to sell jerseys of our new rookies that we're bringing in. They're not experienced characters. We want to bring in new rookies. And they're like, all right, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, you can stay around, but you're going to have to come off the bench.
Yeah. And I think
there's no need to do that. Han, Leia, and Luke won you 3 Super Bowls. They won you 3 championships. They could win you 3 more.
Yes.
I would even take it farther than that. I would say that they tell Michael, hey, Michael, when you come off the bench, could you like dribble the ball off your foot once in a while just to show people that you aren't that great and how good our new rookies are. They are really good.
We want you really to just exist to make the new guys look good.
Yeah.
A lot of the response to the fan backlash, maybe this is the point to bring up the fact that this has been one of the most polarizing Star Wars films ever. Currently, the critic score is at like 93%, and as of today's recording, the audience score is 55%, which is lower than any of the prequel films.
So that's your Rotten Tomatoes scores. Those are Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes, Rotten Tomato. Mm-hmm. IMDb is artificially trying to prop it up. with their algorithms, apparently.
Yeah, Dave, you just made a discovery there on IMDb because I was shocked at how high of a rating it is. I spent hours reading through reviews yesterday trying to wonder how they got this high score and thinking
it was at 8.1 the other day, and now it's at 7.8 or something like that on IMDb.
High 7, 8, yeah.
IMDb.
And I'm taking the time to read through reviews for hours, and I saw 3 there was 1 6 and 2 8s, and everything else was a 1 or a 2, and I was scrolling for at least an hour reading.
So on the
reviews.
ratings page somewhere, there's a link that says where do we get this rating from? Something, and they have a particular set of critics that they give their rating.
Kathy Kennedy, Ryan Johnson.
An extremely the bulk
weighted.
of the
It's
weight.
weighted.
It's a weighted
your
rating.
Your vote and our vote doesn't mean jack.
Though there's 40 pages of people giving it 1 and 2 stars, those people giving it an 8 or 9 takes the score up to like an 8.1, 8, something like that. So, which seems a little.
So for me,
progressive.
that completely, it's not democratic for sure. It completely invalidates any rankings from IMDb. I honestly, if you're going to weight stuff, that doesn't, because you know how much I love critics. Don't, right? Absolutely don't. In fact, if they hate something, I'm hopeful I'll like it, right? I'm the exact opposite. I know a lot of people feel that way too, but so IMDb, I think currently gives it a 7.8, which is ridiculous. Yeah. It's mathematically impossible. I got to know how much they're weighting the critic reviews on that because it's ridiculous.
Can we get back? I think we
sorry, Dave.
Derailed a little bit with ratings, but I want to say, that as we talked about the character of Luke, right? And we talked about the new characters and trying to get us to love, and I think that they think the way to get us to like Rey and to like Finn and Poe, which we do like those characters. At least me, I won't speak for Brett, but I think we all I like those characters. I think they think the best way is to also then demote or denigrate the old characters in our eyes.
Right.
And I so strongly disagree with that. We talked about how I will love Rey more if Luke loves Rey. When Luke is training Rey and passing
proud
the torch
of her,
to her,
or loving her, or like trusting her.
Because I get like, and it's a little different with the original trilogy, but there's some parallels in that I liked Luke more, and he became more to me as I saw Obi-Wan training him a little, Yoda training him, and I got more excited about what he could do.
Yeah.
And I don't
But
feel that
Luke,
way about Rey now.
Yeah, Luke would track from her. You didn't even try to turn away from that dark cave or whatever that was pulling her. And he stops. He pulls away. Like, Luke doesn't really approve of her, at least until he does the thing with Kylo Ren. Oh, I'm not the last Jedi. She is. Like, wait, I thought you said the Jedi are going to end. Make up your mind.
Yeah. It's like they didn't understand that his opinion of her was informing the audience's opinion of her.
Yeah. Totally disconnected with how powerful and important Luke Skywalker is. And I think it's telling, and it's sad. I'm watching this movie, and they thought it was a valid use of their time and money to create a bloated sea walrus and have Luke Skywalker walk up to its udder and squeeze milk from it and drink it. That was worth screen time and money, but not actually have Luke Skywalker clash lightsabers with somebody. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Come on,
that one wasn't.
What
the
did
end
I
of the
just
world
watch?
I understand the throwback to the
like blue milk or whatever.
Milk. Yeah.
But exactly, where does a sea
graphic throwback to blue milk?
Why does a sea walrus's milk end up in Tatooine? I have no idea.
But again, I'll go back to I feel like I loved Rogue One, and I feel like Rogue One handled it in a much better way and much more subtle. Where there's just near the beginning of the movie, there's just a picture of blue milk sitting on a counter, which I feel like that's an awesome homage to Episode 4, and not this dumb scene that doesn't.
Which
really
is like you're saying, hey, Michael Jordan, dribble off your feet, like that is,
Yeah, I feel like, and I don't want to interrupt your flow if you're in a flow, but I feel like there's an important point to make here that just for clarification's sake, okay, a lot of the rebuttal to the hardcore fans' hatred of the movie is, well, those hardcore fans just wanted to see a Luke movie. They don't care about the new characters. They just wanted Luke, 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 Luke. Of course they're going to be upset. And that's not what we're saying, or at least that's certainly not what I'm saying. I feel like that there was a tall order there, but the tall order is you give us everything that we love about the original characters, and you can even kill them off. But you have to give us the original characters as they were. You can give people what they expect, and still introduce new characters, have them pass the torch, and have them be loved. you can do both. And they either felt like or chose not to do both. And I think that's the heart of the rift here.
Yeah, I can agree with that, because it feels like if Rian Johnson had been in the charge of the original trilogy, he would have made terrible characters out of Obi-Wan and Yoda trying to build up Luke, right? I don't want to see that.
But I'm less interested in right now because Luke didn't approve of him. I don't know why. I'm after watching that movie, I'm less interested in everything, which is heartbreaking to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of the backlash really is expectations, but I don't think it's fair to say it's pure fanboy expectations. I think that another part of the rift is between what this movie was and what it could have been.
Yeah, what it was built up to be, all these reveals, we were so excited. Even the public thing, like the forums that the actors would come out on, someone would host it, and they would tease about this, that, or the other. And you look back at it now, they're like, oh, it's like they laugh like it's no big deal who my parents are, or it's a secret I'm not telling. I gotta be thinking in their minds, like, people are gonna hate this when they realize my parents are nobody, and like they're just not getting it. And then one more thing that's too, like, okay, you're this most heroic character you've made not heroic, and he dies while meditating. That was the death of Luke Skywalker.
Also, what happened to the metal hand? Why did that not fall off of his body?
Like Obi-Wan.
It's a little less distinguished if it's like, clunk.
Yeah. And then and I felt like one of those agenda items is always introducing new characters. And after I made that realization, all these new characters and their subplot lines seem like they have some sort of preachy undertone. You have this inexplicable Vice Admiral Holdo come on and be in charge, which really, you could have just not killed Akbar. We would have all loved to have seen Akbar, right? Admiral Akbar.
There's a double-edged sword there, right? You unceremoniously off Akbar and don't really acknowledge it to any great degree.
Right.
And then you bring in this other character to replace him and replace Leia. That's just awful.
I feel like probably the weakest line in the movie is the one line when they say, I think when
Poe's stunned and knocked out.
When they say something about something about Vice Admiral Holdo's in charge. Not the same Holdo that was in the blah 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 thing, whatever they said. That was supposed to be impressive. And I'm like, hey, that is weak. That is supposed to be the thing to swing me to her side. It doesn't work.
I don't know,
especially when she's wearing a fancy ball gown, her hair done up as though she is supposed to be the homecoming queen, and she's walking in commanding troops.
There's some other weak winners in there, like, Rose. This is another moment. There's an amazing heroic moment coming that we're afraid of, but we're willing to accept. Finn is about to die. He is heroically going to blast himself into this cannon that's about to blast open the door. His rickety ship is heading towards it, and then out of nowhere, Rose knocks him out of the way with hers. Makes no sense on so many levels. How did she get so much faster that she was able to swoop around and come in
and not get blown up?
Not get blown up
by all the guns
but
shooting.
Then, on top of all that, he immediately runs over to check on her, which fine, whatever. Maybe he's not angry in the moment. He's more forgiving than I am.
Yeah.
Idiot, what are you doing? And she gives him this stupid line about this isn't about defeating the enemy, it's about saving the ones we love. And then she kisses him out of nowhere. And it's the worst
weird,
execution of romantic build-up in chemistry ever. And it's totally...
So they spent like 45 minutes of screen time together before that, and there was no indication of anything like that.
Chemistry whatsoever.
Not to mention that 45 minutes was filled with him being obsessed with finding who?
Rey.
Yes.
Right. And so, let me just get this straight. You're saving this person you love. You're going to save him by inducing a high-speed air collision. That's your idea of saving? Yeah. And like that line is presented like she's got the intellectual and moral authority. Like she's got the high ground in that moment. Yeah. And then right behind her, you see the door getting blown open. You didn't save me or anybody else. The First Order army is right here, and the base that we could have been safe in is now not safe anymore because I feel like you let the door blow up.
So many things in this movie that could have been the end of the resistance because of Holdo not sharing her plan. Everybody could have died because of that. Because of
I'm totally on board with Poe. Like your plan is to run out of fuel and die. That's not a plan.
If one or two things had gone wrong, it's like because people were dying because of her plan, she didn't share it, and that led to a division, and then that led to them going to get the Codebreaker, which the Codebreaker then gave away the plans. So the First Order starts blowing up their escape pods. None of that would have happened if she had shared her plan.
Yeah.
And then
which sounds horrible because you know what the problem was is Poe Dameron couldn't read a woman's mind.
Yep.
That is another artifact of that contrivance storytelling. They needed to have all that happen so she could not tell him. It would ruin their contrived,
their little. We need this
storytelling.
plot. Right. And again, if Rose is the idea, I better save this guy I have a crush on. What if the entire resistance had been killed, you and me? Well, at least I got to tell you I have a crush on you. That,
Yeah.
And then Poe commits mutiny. Then Leia and Holdo are looking over him like, oh, he's so brash, but I like him. Like, no.
He's
a
a
military,
Let's not
like a
try and
general
portray
or
him.
military. When someone commits mutiny, they are shot.
cut off.
You
They're
kill
done.
them. That is unforgivable. You don't.
They don't roll their eyes and
level.
call him a cutie patootie. Like,
Yeah, you are gone, and they're like, oh,
And that leads into one contrivance leads to another. One sin leads to another.
Yeah.
And this forced them into this situation where, okay, now we've portrayed this Holdo as such a mind-numbingly dumb person. We have to redeem that now. So what are we going to do? We're going to have this forced scene where she says, I have to be aboard the ship. Someone has to pilot it. And then we're going to cut to 2+ minutes of her standing on the deck, looking out the window while the ship autopilots itself.
even though, no one
she's
piloted
not
the ship.
actually flying anything.
Even though no
Totally
one piloted the ship
unnecessary.
for the whole
But I look amazing
12-hour
in this
chase.
dress.
No one got out on the pilot's.
Yeah. I mean, is the ship going to go, no life forms detected, sharp left turn?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's not totally contrived. And
I think the no life forms detected light goes on in the back to warn the First Order that, oh, hey, there's no one on the ship.
Yeah. So then she uses hyperspace to blow up a whole fleet, right?
that is another element of the contrivance.
They
needed to have her on the ship to do that.
Cinematically, the visual of it was really cool to see. Like, wow, that looks super cool. Why didn't they do that to blow up either of the Death Stars? Just get one big ship in hyperspace.
Yeah,
like
but it goes back to that
the
Star
whole Star
Destroyers.
Wars universe just unraveled. Like, oh, why do we even have these big? We could just light speed something. All we need is a hyperdrive. We can kill anything.
Yeah.
It goes, but it goes back to that the contrivance you've been talking about. Let's have her stay on the ship for some reason so that she can save the resistance. Why?
Okay.
And what if she hadn't stayed there? Again, everything had gone right. If she had used any degree of sense and said, there's no reason for you to stay on the ship, let's come with us. Oh, well, now we're all doomed.
Yeah. So then, okay, the last we see Rey, she's having a tug of war with the lightsaber with Kylo Ren, right? The lightsaber blows up. And we leave that storyline. Now we're back on the Salt planet. And and they're all about to die. The TIE fighters are coming. And what happens next? The Millennium Falcon shows up, and I'm thinking I'm going to hear Chewbacca's flying the Falcon. Oh no, Rey's on it.
Yeah.
So we last saw her, something blew up in her face in the throne room of the big ship, but now she's on the Millennium Falcon.
Little Star Trek teleportation happened there.
So, like, okay, if she escaped that, which would be bizarrely hard and that would seem like very difficult to do, she should be on like a First Order ship, right? But no, she's on the Millennium Falcon. We don't know how. Yeah. And not only do we not know how, she also magically knows where to park the Falcon to be at the end of the right cave that they have no idea how to get to. She knows how to park there, right? And then Leia, who's just court-martialed Poe, has this idea, follow this or whatever, and then everyone's looking at her. Don't look at me, follow him.
The guy that I just... Yeah.
You're the general.
Yeah.
So all these, like, they want to introduce characters. You feel like they wanted to have, like, strong female leaders. You have the original strong female leader in Princess Leia, and you have no clue what to do with her. Apparently she can fly in space, but she can't still be in charge once Poe has a weird idea to go through a cave.
Can I take a minute and add and just list some plot points I think would have made a 10 times better movie?
Oh, yes, please.
So
Lead us into
how are we doing on time? Are we
end
doing
here.
we're going to wrap up here in a couple minutes here.
Okay.
But I just want to list off quickly some plot points. So I feel like, going back to episode 7, I think this would have been better still if Luke had shown up on the Starkiller base to confront Kylo and save Rey there. I think that would be a better ending. You would have got to see Luke quicker. And I think people would have enjoyed that ending more personally. But then I like the fact that maybe Luke disappears with or without Rey. Anyway, I'm going to get to episode 8 here. So I'm going to leave out some of the stuff about Luke's character because we've already covered some of that.
Yeah.
But there should have been a training sequence in there somewhere, scenes. That should have happened. Mm-hmm. So we needed to see that. Also, 12-hour space chase is boring. That needed not to happen. Now, I think a way more engaging scene and a scene where you could have seen heroics and just just awesome imagery would be a battle if they got to the planet quicker and seen a long battle between a larger resistance force strengthened by allies that they for some reason mentioned and then never showed in this movie, and maybe a sizable First Order force instead of their 4 AT-AT walkers and a shuttle. I mean, aren't they supposed to have an army? I thought, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think a larger scene there, and then I'm going to go back to what. And in all of that, you could have had more development of Finn, showing how heroic he is. If you wanted to have Rose in there, you could have her there. You could have done more. In that battle scene, you could have shown Leia really being a general, marshaling her troops.
Doing some cool strategy
doing some
stuff.
awesome stuff. If you want to show her like how amazing she is, because it's always sort of just understood that she's a general.
Yeah, she's a great general because we said so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, let's show it. Let's show her here. If you really wanted to show Laura Dern's character as Vice Admiral Holdo also being this, you don't have to use this one cheesy line to prove it. Prove it here. Give her some troops under her and have her pull off some amazing heroics against the First Order.
Show, don't tell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then that's where you come in, like I talked about before, with Luke showing up. And I think a good movie would be that the First Order does win. A la Empire Strikes Back. The First Order overwhelms the Resistance, but I would love still to see that scene where Luke had shown up and just single-handedly been defeating the First Order. I had this awesome thought of like Kylo Ren and Rey confronting each other with a better fight, with a partially trained Rey, a healed, stronger Kylo, and they could have had an epic fight scene also at the same time. I mean, how amazing would this scene be? I pictured as the camera cuts back and forth between Luke decimating First Order troops and weaponry on his own, Kylo and Rey fighting each other in an amazing fight scene where now they're both powerful Force users. And then I had this idea of the Knights of Ren maybe infiltrating the base, thinking we're going to cut off the head of the leadership here, and then Leia. And I think this would make sense because Carrie Fisher has passed away. I think she should have died in this movie. But I picture the scene where I love her like maybe sacrificing herself as the last few Resistance people get away. And somehow she gets a hold of a lightsaber. And I just had this picture in my head of her standing there and the lightsaber.
Can you imagine the crowd with Leia doing a saber?
Give me chills just thinking about
it.
Right?
Like if I picture Leia with a lightsaber holding off the Knights of Ren. Now she's not a trained Jedi, so she I think has to die in the scene. But I would love to see her kill 2 or 3 Knights of Ren, and then someone gets there, Rey or Luke gets there in time to kind of cradle her as she dies.
Right.
It maybe kills off the rest of them, cradle her as she dies, and then she goes off. She's proven that she's the strong woman that everybody knows that she is, marshaling this incredible, generaling this fight against a superior force and doing an amazing job.
Awesome under that event.
And then wielding a lightsaber, because it's been proven by EU things that she's been trained somewhat in the Force, and they tried to weakly show that with her Mary Poppins fly through space, but now you can see it with her using a lightsaber. When I started thinking about that, I'm going to be honest here. Think poorly of me if you want, but I started picturing that in my head, her fighting. I got chills, and then I pictured her dying in Luke's arms. I got a tear in my eye, thinking like,
yeah.
And I think the audience got the same thing, thinking I'm getting chills, seeing Leia be awesome.
That's the send off that Carrie Fisher deserves.
And then
same with Luke, really.
And then her dying in Luke's arms, having saved the Resistance along with Luke, her and her brother both using the Force. Oh man, I'm getting chills right now talking about it. Anyway, I just think that would be an amazing. If you could have got those plot points, that battle scene, amazing episode 8, $1 billion movie.
Yeah, and all of the millions of adventures I had playing Star Wars as a kid, whether dressing up like Luke and running around having a lightsaber, dressing up as Han, or playing with my action figures and doing all these great battles with my kids and all this. I've had a million adventures in Star Wars, and I will say, 0 of them were anything like The Last Jedi. So it was different.
So lest anybody accuse us of being a 100% negative rant, here's 30 seconds of things that at least that I liked, because I feel like we've hit 2 main categories, which is the Star Wars fandom, the Star Wars story elements, the general storytelling technicality issues.
Yeah.
But in terms of just pure filmmaking, the visual art of filmmaking.
Beautiful.
There were some amazing shots. Some shots we've never seen, sort of like zoom in and pans, the battle shots, the opening sequence with Poe's X-Wing and doing those sort of tight turns and everything that he's doing and taking out that. Yeah. Really awesome. And obviously some just great visuals even on the island and things.
I did think Poe's lines at the beginning talking to what's his I forget the
That's when you thought it was solid gold. You thought
hilarious.
Here we go.
I thought that was so funny. Maybe somebody else didn't like it, but I loved how he was like
I'm holding for
I'm holding for
Yeah.
kind of pasty.
I've already, like, even though I didn't like how they treated the Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker character, I thought Mark Hamill acted very well. I wish we were going to see more of him. Hopefully we'll see Ghost Luke sometime. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the visuals were really, really cool. They did show us some new vehicles. They did show us lots of
Kylo Ren's TIE Fighter. Awesome.
Very
design.
cool, very
great,
cool
great
looking
design.
stuff. Yep.
The funny moments on the island with the native inhabitants of the island were really great. How Rey is just basically not endearing herself to them by destroying their houses and their tarts, and
which is a totally different way to lighten a funny line in a Star Wars movie. That was that felt Marvel-y, like we said before.
Yeah.
But at least there were some funny spots.
So what would you guys rate this movie?
I will go first. I'm a little more forgiving because I enjoyed those visual elements, and they redeemed it more in my eyes than I think it did maybe for you guys. So I would have to go with probably high fives, probably a 6.0 though. I mean, it's teetering, on its way into the fives, which for me is, I think, the lowest score I've given any of the other movies we reviewed so far. Yeah. So yeah. There you go.
I want to go next because I'm going to say if I could go negatives, I would, because I feel like I don't care about episode 9 now, and to hurt another movie, you got to be in the negatives to take away from them. So, but I guess I'll just go. I would give it a 0. I give it a 0. If I go negatives, I would, but 0.
Yeah. So I'll give it a 1 because it was pretty, but it ruined so many other things for no reason and with no payoff to it. It put a smile on my kid's face until I made them think about the movie.
So there you go. A 6, a 0, and a 1.
Yeah.
Based on IMDb math, that's an average of 8.2.
Yeah.
You see how that works?
All right. Well, let's round this up with one of our favorite segments.
Who would win?
Alrighty. Everybody's favorite. We've got 2 Titans in the ring today. We did stack the deck a little bit. Everybody, those of you who want us to move past the original trilogy will do just that. We are putting in the ring Darth Maul versus Kylo Ren.
All right, yeah, I like it.
Last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi.
That's will have revenge.
So if you're listening to this, you should have a pretty good handle on who those guys are. So we shouldn't have to write too much.
Yeah, we don't have to introduce too much. So I think Kylo Ren has some pretty cool powers. I think his potential has got to be. I mean, we don't really see Darth Maul. I mean, he picks up stuff and throws it. He's wicked awesome with the lightsaber and agile and all those things. I think his ability with the saber has got to exceed Kylo Ren's. And Kylo Ren, who has a hard time defeating a bunch of dudes in red suit helmets who probably can't see outside the helmets after he kills Mr. Snoke.
And aren't even using lightsabers. So
yeah, aren't even using lightsabers.
I don't know. They're enhanced weapons of some kind.
Right. I think Kylo Ren's potential's got to be better. One of my favorite people at work refers to Kylo Ren as the Jar Jar Binks of the Sith. Which I think is a bit cruel, but I can't help but share it because it's funny. So I think, like, if this was a multi-round one, I would almost have to think I personally have to give the first round definitely to Darth Maul. He's just so much better with a saber.
He's got all the cool flips.
And if you look at accomplishments, he took out an actual Jedi Master, Qui-Gon Jinn, while having to fight Obi-Wan, right? Mm. So he actually did kill, a Jedi. He had to do them two at a time, and we haven't seen Kylo do that, and he had a hard time taking out guards with the help of Rey in the moment, right? So, but he's got to have a higher potential, otherwise the Emperor would have kept Darth Maul around a little bit better. Kylo Ren being more so. If like maybe round 2 he'd still lose to Darth Maul. Round 3, I think if he grows into his powers, he should be capable of defeating Darth Maul.
I don't know.
What do you think?
I think Darth Maul had high potential because you're talking the Emperor chose Darth Maul to be his his.
But in the Rebels and all that
pupil.
stuff, I don't think
he's sort of lost his mind by that point, though. Like his
no, but the Emperor knew he wasn't going to be his longtime apprentice. He was just going to use him for his fighting abilities. I thought.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Even in the early days. But he definitely exhibits more discipline in terms of his training, in the way that he moves and the way that he fights and everything like that. Whereas Kylo Ren, especially highlighted in Last Jedi, his rage and his emotional imbalance robs him of his edge in a lot of fights, right? So
I would say I give the fight, even out of 3, I think I would have to, unless Kylo gets lucky on a round, I would give it to Darth Maul, hands down.
So you think Darth Maul's definitely better with the saber for sure, then, right?
Better with a saber, better with, and maybe not better with the Force, but I will say that because you don't really see a lot of it. But I don't know. So I don't even say I give it to Kylo as a better Force user. I would say, assuming that they're fairly equal.
Because there's a lot of love for Darth Maul, considering he doesn't actually have that much screen time. There's a lot of love for him because he's like the one big payoff at the end of Phantom Menace.
Exactly. Which, not to belabor this point a little bit, but it shows what good writing can do a little bit, right? This guy only has a few minutes of screen time, but
what is the world come to what we're referring to?
He is. Yeah. They had to bring him back in the Clone Wars because people loved him so much.
So like but remember, Kylo stopping the blaster bolt mid-air and doing all that stuff. I mean, he's definitely powerful. What's your
I lean towards Darth Maul. I see him coming into the fight more cold and calculated. Kylo's coming in emotional, rage. He's going to swing hard and everything, but I think that cold and calculated takes the win. Plus, I mean, if they both get disarmed, all it's going to take is one headbutt from Darth Maul. I mean, they never show him using that, but come on, that's got to be a great move.
All Darth Maul has to say is, "You're not as good as Darth Vader," for him to become unhinged and lose.
Hang on a second, I need to smash my helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there we have it. A unanimous win for Darth Maul. The love for the Darth Maul continues and grows. I have to say that would be one that would be worth the price of admission if you could actually see that one in real life. That would be awesome. They both look pretty awesome in black. I will say that.
So that's going to be our show. If it's not clear to anyone who just listened, we are highly recommending that you go see the movie of the year that has taken place in December of 2017, Ferdinand. And with that, we will catch everybody. It looks like in the new year. I think this is going to be a brief hiatus for us, and then we're going to head into the wonderful year of 2018, which has many wonderful things waiting for us, and we will see you all there.
Fear not, Hero Escapers. There's so much more fandom in the pipes, sci-fi, and superheroes to love and enjoy. Peace out.
See ya.